She was supposed to be home on Sunday. Hana Kobayashi was 35 years old, a restaurant worker, a normal woman living a normal life in Honolulu, Hawaii. She took a weekend trip. It was planned. It was documented. She told people where she was going. She told people when she would be back. But when Sunday came and went, Hana did not come home. And nobody has seen her since. September 8, 2024. That is the last day anyone can confirm that Hana Kobayashi was alive. She disappeared in Honolulu, Hawaii on that day. Some witnesses say they saw her in a hotel. Some witnesses say they saw her on a street. Some witnesses say they saw her, and then they did not see her again. But nobody has definitive proof of what happened to Hana Kobayashi after that day. And 6 months later, she is still missing, still gone, still unknown. Her disappearance has become one of the most watched missing persons cases in Hawaii's recent history. Her face appears on missing persons posters throughout Oahu. Her name trends on social media. Her story has captivated thousands of strangers who have joined the search for answers. Hana's friends started noticing something was wrong when she did not respond to messages. A weekend trip should have ended by Sunday evening. Monday came. Hana still had not responded. Tuesday came. Still nothing. By Wednesday, people were worried. By Thursday, people were scared. By Friday, her family called the police. The 911 call was made. The dispatch center answered, and the search for Hana Kobayashi began. But the initial response was not what anyone expected. Missing persons cases, particularly cases involving adults, often lack urgency in the first critical hours and days. The protocols that police follow, the procedures that must be completed, the paperwork that must be filed, all of these things took time, precious time, time that cannot be recovered. The initial response was slow. Missing persons cases are filed every day. Police have procedures. They have protocols. They wait a certain amount of time before escalating the search. They check hospitals. They check jails. They look for evidence of voluntary abandonment before they assume something criminal has occurred. But as the days passed and Hana did not turn up, as her bank accounts remained untouched and her phone stayed silent, the protocols changed. Something was wrong. The very deliberate procedures that had kept the investigation conservative suddenly seemed inadequate. The time that had been spent waiting, the days that had been lost to protocol, could never be recovered. Hana Kobayashi had not chosen to disappear. Hana Kobayashi had disappeared. Her hotel room was searched. Her belongings were photographed. Her luggage was there. Her passport was there. The belongings of a woman who had planned to return home and had left all of her valuables behind in her hotel room were still there. But Hana was not. The hotel staff was interviewed. Guests were interviewed. Security footage was reviewed. And what emerged was a timeline of Hana being seen in various locations around Honolulu on the morning of September 8th, and then not being seen again after approximately midday. The timeline became the focus of the investigation. Where did she go between the hotel and the place where she was last seen? What happened in those missing hours? Who did she encounter? What conversations did she have? The timeline held the secrets, but the timeline was fragmented. It was incomplete. It was filled with gaps. The internet exploded. Hashtag Find Hana Kobayashi started trending on social media within hours. TikTok users created videos analyzing every possible detail. Reddit threads multiplied. Entire subreddits dedicated to finding Hana appeared and grew to thousands of members. Facebook groups dedicated to finding Hana accumulated tens of thousands of followers. Thousands of people who had never met Hana Kobayashi started investigating her disappearance as if she were a member of their own family. Theories emerged. Speculation multiplied. Some people thought she had been kidnapped by a stranger. Some people thought she had been the victim of a crime of opportunity, a predator seeing a vulnerable woman alone on an island. Some people thought she had voluntarily disappeared for reasons unknown, running from something in her life. Some people thought she was dead, her body hidden somewhere on the island, or moved off the island by someone who wanted to conceal the crime. Some people thought she was still alive and being held captive somewhere on the island, held by someone with darker intentions. The police investigation took on the characteristics of the most intensive missing persons case in Hawaii in recent memory. Every lead was pursued. Every tip was followed. Every possible location was searched. Dogs were brought in. Helicopters were sent out. Volunteers combed through forests and beaches and ravines. The island of Oahu, where Hana had disappeared, was treated as a crime scene despite the lack of evidence of a crime, despite the lack of a body, despite the lack of witnesses who could say definitively what had happened. The investigation was exhaustive. The resources devoted to finding Hana were substantial. But at the end of each day of searching, at the end of each week of investigation, Hana remained missing. The 911 call recordings became public. The voice of Hana's friend, desperate and frightened, describing that she could not reach Hana, became part of the permanent record. The 911 dispatcher's professional and calm voice, asking questions, taking information, starting the machinery of law enforcement, became part of what thousands of people listened to, trying to understand how someone could vanish on an island in the modern age. The calls revealed the timeline. The calls revealed the concern. The calls revealed that by the time official law enforcement was involved, Hana had already been missing for approximately 5 days. 5 days. In a modern world of cell phone tracking and GPS and financial transaction records, Hana had been missing for 5 days before anyone official knew that she was gone. In an age where technology can pinpoint a person's location with remarkable accuracy, 5 days had passed before the search began. Her last known location was somewhere near a hotel. Her last confirmed sighting was on a street in Honolulu. Everything after that was silence. The investigation turned to her digital footprint. Her cell phone was analyzed. The location data was examined. The last place the phone pinged was at 11:47 a.m. on September 8th. After that, nothing. Either the phone was turned off, or the battery died, or something else happened to the phone. Either Hana turned it off deliberately, or she was separated from it involuntarily. Her bank accounts were monitored. Her credit cards were checked. Every transaction was analyzed for clues. What emerged was profound silence. No activity, no purchases, no ATM withdrawals, nothing. Her social media accounts were examined for clues, for any hint of her state of mind, for any indication of where she might go or what she might do. What emerged was confusing. The last posts were normal. There was nothing to suggest that Hana was in crisis, nothing to suggest that she was planning to run away, nothing to suggest that anything was wrong. It was as if Hana had stepped off the edge of the world. It was as if she had ceased to exist. Theories about what happened to Hana Kobayashi multiplied. Some people theorized that she had been kidnapped by a stranger. a predator who had seen a vulnerable woman alone on an island. Some people theorized that she had suffered a mental health crisis and had wandered into the ocean, unable to find her way back. Some people theorized that she had been the victim of a crime and had been moved off the island, transported by boat or plane to somewhere that law enforcement could not search. Some people theorized that she had voluntarily run away from her life for reasons that nobody understood, that something had happened to her in Hawaii that made her want to disappear. Some people theorized that she had been lured somewhere by someone she trusted and had suffered harm at the hands of that person. Every theory was examined. Every theory was debated. Every theory was investigated. But 6 months later, no theory had been proven. No definitive evidence had emerged. No suspect had been identified. No body had been found. No confirmed sighting had been verified. Hana Kobayashi remained missing. Still missing. After 6 months, she was still just a woman who had gone to Hawaii for a weekend and who had simply vanished. The media coverage continued. The social media attention remained intense. True crime communities kept the case alive by continuously discussing new theories and re-examining old evidence. YouTube channels dedicated entire videos to the mystery. Podcasts devoted episodes to analyzing what might have happened. Every possible explanation was explored. Every detail was dissected. But none of it brought Hana home. None of it answered the fundamental question: where is Hana Kobayashi? Her family appealed publicly for information. They made videos. They appeared on news programs. They begged anyone who had seen Hana, anyone who knew anything, to come forward. The desperation in their voices was palpable. The not knowing was clearly worse than knowing. The uncertainty was crushing them. But despite their appeals, despite the massive public interest in the case, despite the countless hours that volunteers and law enforcement had invested in searching and investigating, Hana remained missing. The searches continued. The questions remained unanswered. The mystery deepened with each passing day. The police investigation continued quietly in the background. Away from the internet theories and the social media speculation, detectives followed leads. They reviewed footage. They interviewed witnesses. They tried to piece together what had happened in the hours after Hana's last confirmed sighting. They examined relationships. They looked for connections. They pursued every angle. But publicly, the case stalled. Weeks went by with no new information. Months went by with no breakthroughs. And gradually, the intensity of the media coverage lessened as other cases captured attention. But in Honolulu, the search continued. In Hana's family's home, the uncertainty continued. On the internet, in the communities dedicated to finding her, the attention remained. Hana Kobayashi was 35 years old. She was a restaurant worker. She was a daughter. She was a friend. She was a person who took a weekend trip to Hawaii and who never came home. And today, 6 months later, nobody knows where she is. Nobody knows what happened to her. Nobody can say with certainty whether she is alive or dead. The case remains open. The investigation remains active. The search for Hana Kobayashi continues. But the fundamental question remains unanswered. And with each passing day, the hope that she will be found alive grows fainter. And the fear that something terrible happened to her grows stronger. The mystery persists. The questions linger. And Hana Kobayashi remains missing in paradise.